Hello students. In previous video we have seen that how to write a program using function. So we have seen a very simple basic program of adding two numbers in which we have globally declared a function named add, and then we have called the same function with values x comma y, and then we have a function definition which is going to actually add the two numbers. The same program we can write in some different way where we have totally skipped the declaration part. So in the beginning of the program itself we are writing a function definition which tells the compiler that this is the function which is going to perform addition of two numbers, right? And then in my main program I am calling that function with the values that I want to add. So as simple as that. So there are two variations of these programs that you have to understand, that in any ways you can write a program, but we'll be mostly going with this first method where we will be declaring our function and then we will be calling the function, and at the end of the program we will be writing the function definition. So most of the time, many of the times we will be going with the same way of writing a program. Now we have to see some more programs of writing the programs using functions. Let us try to write a program using functions, and now that program is swapping the two numbers using functions. So now we will see a program to swap two numbers or swap two integer numbers, and for that purpose let us write a program int main. Now we already know the swapping of two numbers. What it does, my program will have two variables in which I'll be having the values. Say for example x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 20, and then I'll be having one temporary variable which will be used to swap the numbers between these two variables. So we already know the logic. So let us just recall the logic. So in my program I am declaring two numbers, say x comma y, and then I am asking the user to give the two numbers. So I'll just copy from here. Okay, and then we perform the logic. So logic of swapping is we need to have a temporary variable, and this temporary variable will be used to hold the value temporarily in from one of the variables. So temp x, then x is assigned the value of y, and y is assigned the value of temp. So this logic is there. I hope you all remember the logic of swapping that we have already studied in our previous lectures. So this is the logic behind swapping. There is one more logic in which we don't make use of third variable. So by using x and y only we try to swap the numbers between swap these two numbers, but we will not go through that logic. We will only see the first logic with temporary. So I'll just write here swap two numbers using function swap two numbers using a temporary variable. Using functions. So now this is the program that we have already studied, but then what is the difference between this program and the program that we are going to write now? So we are going to write a program using functions. That means this function that I am writing in my program should be able to perform this logic now. So my main program is now is not responsible to swap the two numbers, but my function will be responsible to swap these two numbers. So this particular logic will not come in my main program, but it will be defined in the function body. So suppose here I'll be writing my function definition. So this logic will be written in the function body itself. So my main program is now not responsible to swap two numbers. It will simply call the swap function. So say for example swap, and it gives me it sends the two values x comma y which will be swapped by this function definition. So this is what we are going to do in this program. So let us first declare the function. So here let us write the return type of the function. So for the time being we do not want any value to be received by the function. We are only sending two values which should be swapped, and there are two values which we cannot send two values at a time. So it is better not to return any value. The function will only take care of the swapped values. So here the return type for my function will be void. that means my function is not going to return me any value. The name of the function is swap, and then I will be declaring two values, that is int a and int b. Now one more thing that I have forgotten to tell you is, even if you don't write variable names in the function declaration part, it is totally allowed. The only thing that we need to understand while declaring function is, this is a way to indicate, to tell the compiler that what kind of function I am using and what is the return type and what are the types of parameters that I am going to use in my program. So even if you don't give a variable name, it is completely allowed. You will not face any compile error when you will debug the program. So it is completely allowed, but for the timing I will just write the variable names, say a comma b. So this is my function declaration part. And then I am calling the function. As you can see, there is no variable in front of this function because my function is not going to return me any value. So there is no point of storing this value in any variable because this function is not returning me any value, right? And after this we will simply print the value. So printf the swapped value in main program. So we will just, I will tell you why I have written this in main program. So swapped value in main program is %d and %d, and then x comma y, and last let's just terminate the program, so return 0. And then here I will be writing the function definition. So let us write the function definition part. So again similar, void swap int a comma int b, and then curly brackets open and close, which will define the scope of my function. So the logic will be inside the swap function, right? And now this logic will not make use of x, y, because if I try to debug this program, so what you find is, let's say I will debug the program, I will get an error mentioning that temp is undeclared and x and y is undeclared, first use in this function. So what it tries to tell me is, when I try to use x, y and temp in this function, I have nowhere declared these variables, or this function doesn't know the meaning of these variables, because we have already learned the curly brackets represents the scope of the function or the life of the variables. So x and y is declared in your main program, so only main program knows the meaning of x and y. So if you try to access x and y in your function doesn't know the meaning of x and y. It only knows the meaning of a and b, and that is what we are doing. What we are doing is, we are sending the value of x and y through the swap function. So the actual values are sent to swap function and they are copied into the formal parameters. So my function definition, the value which it is going to receive is the value which is a copy of that value, right? So x and y will get copied into a and b, and therefore this function knows only the meaning of a and b, it doesn't know x and y. So here I am basically swapping a and b, not x and y. So here instead of x I will be writing a, and this is a to b, and then b to temp, right? Again if I try to debug, it will show me one error because still I have not declared temp, because temp is declared in main function. So the scope of this temp is till this main program, and whereas in my main program I am not using this temp function, so I should not declare it in main function. I am using it in swap function. So the declaration of temp should be in swap function, right? Now let us just debug the program. You can see 0 errors. Now one more thing here is that once you swap the numbers, let us just try to print it, because our function is not returning me any value. So I don't know what is happening inside the function. So I just want to check whether this logic is working. So I'll try to simply print the value inside my function. So printf, I'll use the same syntax. So swapped value in, now here I'll write in function, that is %d, and here the swapped values are a and b. So a comma b. Okay, now let us just debug it. 0 errors. So I am ready to run my program. So let's give two numbers, 2, 3, and now if you try to see the output of this program, the entered number is 2 or 3, entered number are 2 and 3. The swapped value in the function is 3, 2, and the swapped value in the main program is 2, 3. So let me just give /n so that you understand it nicely. Okay, so enter two numbers, so 2 and 3. So now if you see, the swapped value in function is 3, 2. So function has already swapped the two values, but now if you come back and see in your main program, the values are not actually swapped, right? Why this is so? What is the problem? Because my function is showing that the value which we have sent to the function, it is swapping those two values, and I am getting the answer as 3, 2. But if I come back to the main program and if I try to print, that means after calling the function, if I try to print the values of x and y, they are not actually swapped. So they are only showing the original values, that is 2, 3. So why this has happened? This has happened because this is a function call using value. So it is call by value method. So this program is using a function with call by value method, where you are sending the copy of variable to the function, and the execution or the logic that we are applying is on these copy variables. So your actual value is not getting modified. Now to understand this concept nicely, I'll be showing you a PPT in which I'll show you the difference between call by value and other method that is called as call by reference, and then we will go ahead with this program in the next video.